So Kelly, how much of a horror fan are
Um, in the great bell curve of horror fans, I would say I'm past the peak. So I'm towards there's I like it more than most people, than the
you? Okay.
majority of the other people.
All right. Good, good, good. I absolutely love horror books, games, movies, comics, whatever it is. Always have. It's my favorite genre of anything. And it's not just because it's dark and weird or anything. It's because I like entertainment that is entertainment, that is devoid of reality as much as possible. I don't like stuff that is grounded in like I like documentaries, for example, but I won't watch documentaries about current events typically and things like that because that's real and now and happening where I can experience it. I want entertainment to entertain me and make me forget how awful the world is that we live in. So that's why I don't like stuff that's like in music or anything else. I don't like stuff that's overly political. I don't like stuff with lots of religion and all that kind of stuff in it. Entertain me. don't don't remind me that this is a mess that we live in.
You like your Pac-Man in space. It's
Yeah,
basically
I want Pac-Man in space.
fair enough.
And what the horror genre as a whole does is it's the only genre where you can do anything storytelling wise. So you can have a horror movie that has tons of slapstick comedy in it, like Army of Darkness, but you can't take a comedy and slice somebody up with a chainsaw in it. So horror is the only genre that lets you put anything else into it. So it gives you the most opportunities storytelling wise, and that's why it's my favorite genre. I'm also a really big fan. So, and I go the whole gamut from stuff that's kind of geared towards kids and to the most extreme stuff you could possibly watch just to test myself the way people would eat spicy food or something like that. One of my favorite things, though, is what people call gateway horror. So, gateway horror is stuff that is usually aimed at a younger audience, is more accessible, doesn't have anything too explicit or anything that would traumatize kids. Basically, checking it out to get them interested in horror without, later therapy bills, kind of thing. There was a great meme that was going around on a lot of the horror pages a while back, and it was this guy who was like, you don't always know when you messed up as a parent. But my daughter has been bugging me to watch the movie The Descent, and today I knew I messed up as a parent. So things like that. So I love that exists. I was a fan of it as a kid, although with me, I liked regular horror stuff as a kid too. Like I wasn't just drawn towards kid stuff, just anything horror. So probably the most famous gateway horror stuff would be Goosebumps, the R.L. Stine books. I'm a huge fan of those, even though I was already reading like Stephen King books and stuff at that time. Anything horror. And the Goosebumps books were short, they were fun. I'm such a big fan. This is not what I'm here to talk about, but just to prove my fandom of it, the guy who did the original artwork for Goosebumps, this is his sketch of the doll from the cover of Goosebumps, of the Slappy doll, which is one of the most famous villains in it. This is the actual sketch from from the artist that typically hangs in my library in my house. So I'm a pretty big fan of that kind of stuff. One thing that's been missing from my collection for a long time, though, is I have this weird fever dream of a memory of a kid's horror book series called Samantha Slade Monster Sitter that I swear was a real thing and nobody else remembers. And I couldn't find the books anywhere. Any bookstore that I went to, even like rare book collector places and stuff like that, everybody looks at me like I'm insane. And they're like, "Do you mean Goosebumps?" No, I know Goosebumps pretty well. So eventually I did start to find these online and not as much as you would think because pretty much any book you can find online now or homemade audiobooks of on YouTube. I was able to track one or two of these books down at different times. They were either in terrible shape or I would see it on eBay in great shape for hundreds of dollars or something like that. So I don't have any of these books currently in my collection. I remember reading them as a kid. I liked them then. Couldn't, if my life depended on it, tell you what they were about at that time. But again, I've wanted these for my collection for a while. My wife tracked down three of the books in order.
Nice.
The first three books, and they're the original books, and they're in great shape. Like there's no obvious, damage or anything. There's a little bit of wear and things like that, but nothing crazy. And she swears she didn't pay $1 million for these, which is nice too, because that was my first concern when I saw them after the excitement. Left was like, "Oh my God, what did you pay?
What did you do?
Do we not eat for a month now? Like, what just happened?" But she was actually able to find three of the books, and apparently there's only four in the original core series. So I do have three of the four now. So that for me was my top Christmas present that I was able to get, because
Don't
these are
drop
in the
those.
library now. Again, fits very much with my proclivities of all horror all the time.
Yeah, so so that drawing's super cool. And if you could actually take um some photos of both the book covers
Yeah,
and your drawing, I'll kind of make sure somehow we get them dropped in. And I don't, I mean, I'm not really trying to outdo you here, but I don't know if you've heard, may have heard a little movie called Star Wars before.
I
Well,
have.
yeah, well,
It's a
um,
cult kind of thing, right?
yeah. Like I have George Lucas's original drawing of Chewbacca, and this is the original sketch. Just happened to have that sitting out. Just so yours is nice, but
I,
not Star
I I
Wars.
feel definitely belittled now.
Yeah, just sorry to rain on your parade there. That's really cool. Is she giving up where she got those from, or is it?
Oh no. Apparently she's still looking for four. So, and
Those
again, I
look like they're in
have in
great
recent
condition.
years, I've seen them on eBay and things pop up, but they either look like somebody ate them and vomited them back up, or somebody's like, "This is in pretty good shape, $1,000." Like it's just one extreme or the other. So
Yeah, that was my original copy. So, the original copy of Dune that I got, I bought at a used bookstore. It was already fairly well read by the time I picked it up, and then I put it through its paces. And it was a paperback version, and it was thick, and because it had, I mean, the original version of Dune, there's all kinds of definitions in the back and lots of world building stuff. And boy, that bad boy, the binding broke, pages were falling out, and I had to eventually had a friend said, "I've never read Dune. I'd like to get it." I go, "I've got a copy," and I went back and looked at my copy. I said, "No, I'll go out and buy a new copy of Barnes and Noble and say, here you go. I promise you could read Dune. So here's a version. I need to update it anyway." But those looked for so what about what years would those have come out?
this is, I want to say it's 80s. Let me just take a quick look here. We could always edit this out if it takes a minute.
Well, I can hold back up the Chewbacca painting again here, drawing, so people
Yeah,
can
give
appreciate
the
that.
people what they want with Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Here we go. 87.
Those are those are
Yeah.
a little on the old side, but I look really good for an 87.
No, yeah, I mean, like I said, there's just a little bit of wear around the edges and stuff, but nothing major.
Excellent. Very, very cool. And so if someone else was looking to pick this series up, eBay's I mean, as far apparently your wife sorted out a spot where she can
Yeah.
get these,
There's
but
some other place. But yeah, I have seen them in recent years pop up on eBay. But like I said, it's kind of all over the place in quality of what I've seen as far as what the books look like, just in the photos, and then ones that look not even as good as condition of this, and people asking kind of outlandish prices on some of them. I feel like that's how it goes with books, though. Like whenever I've looked for books for things, um, I remember, so now you can get it pretty cheaply on a Kindle and things like that, and eventually they were reprinted. But are you familiar with The Howling, the movie series?
movie series, yeah.
Okay, so that's based super heavy air quotes on that on a book series by Gary Bradner. They're both called The Howling. That's about as much as they have in common. But technically, it's based off of the book series. The books were out of print for a really long time, and I would find them on occasion, and either they'd be all mangled, or somebody would be like, "Oh, that's $5,000 for that copy." And so eventually, I did find one in decent shape that was like $20 or something like that. But I feel like that's how it goes with books. Like it's just all over the place when you find stuff.
Well, Mike and I were super good in 2024, so there's maybe going to be other shows down the road where, we'll talk about a few other things we may or may have gotten for Christmas. So stay tuned for that. Sure you're interested, so subscribe to the Bog Panda YouTube channel. Hit that bell and you'll know when the next time we're going to kind of cover some of these things or other things. Like Hard No, the world's shortest podcast, published daily. Every podcast is less than a minute long. So if you have commitment issues, it's not a problem. You won't be there very long. So it'll work out for you. We also have merchandise. There'll be a link to the description there. We're also in the lowest rung of indie developers. So you can go to Bog Panda Vision. It's a page off of our website. Links in the description as well for all of our completely free games to date. Out there, there's some Game Boy ROMs you can download, online game, more of a browser-based game as well. So there's a number of things out there. Check that out. And am I missing anything? That
No,
seems
I
about
think
right.
that's it.
All right. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you like or don't. And thanks for watching.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.